All right, welcome back to Pre-Algebra. We're going to talk about section 1.4, comparing and ordering integers. Now, I say integers. My sister says integers, and I really thought it was kind of dumb. I thought she was mispronouncing it, and it was very embarrassing that my sister was saying integers when it's integers. But then I found out it's an alternate pronunciation. Maybe it's British. Maybe she had a British professor. When I was in college, I was a chemistry major at one point. I ended up being a more biochem major, but I started off pure chemistry. And my professor, Dr. Thomas, was from England, so a lot of chemistry words I learned the British way. Now I knew that he said laboratory and I said laboratory, and I knew he said aluminium and I said aluminum, but other ones he would teach us how to say things and we had never heard that term before, so we would say it the British way. So I still say a lot of chemistry words British because I learned them from Dr. Thomas. So if you want to say integer, you can, but I say it's integer. Now, what is an integer? It's a number, basically. And we're going to compare numbers. This is a very pre-algebra concept, and it's when you need to know, especially for those entrance exams to Algebra 1. So, this one's important, and it's just putting things on a number line. So being able to put things in order from least to greatest. Now remember that these are our symbols for greater than and less than. And then remember this one is less than or equal to, and that one's greater than or equal to. And remember how we remember is Pac-Man always wants to eat more. More ghost. Walk, 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 walk. Isn't that the noise Pac-Man makes? Alright, so we reviewed that. The other thing is we have an idea called the number line. Those were pretty cute little Pac-Man, if I do say so myself. Alright, so you have a number line. The middle of the number line is 0, and then you count up. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also have negative numbers. -1, -2, -3, -4. -5 going toward negative infinity. The symbol for infinity is a sideways 8. Or keeping going towards positive infinity. Now it turns out that actual infinities don't exist in our universe. That's a topic for another day. But according to logic people, but in math we love them. Whether they're real or not, we love them. Alright, so this is the number line. So let's talk about the difference in positive and negative numbers. So, say I got $2, then I am going to the dollar store and I'm getting two things. Probably candy, let's be honest. But if I have -2, that means I owe you $2 and I'm not going anywhere. And you were foolish to loan me $2 and now I can't go anywhere. I have no money. In fact, I'm in debt. I'm in the hole for $2. So if we were going to say this, we would say if we had -2 and +2, Pac-Man is going to want to eat +2. That's more. It's more than being in debt for 2. So, -2 is less than 2. Or we could say it the other way. Alright, so this is sort of an idea. Now what if you had 1½ you're putting on the number line? Then it would go between 1 and 2 right there. Whoop. More fun with sound effects. What if you had -3.75? 0.75 is the same thing as about 3/4. Now remember, I told you don't panic if I'm going too fast. You're going to catch up and we're going to get there. The book's just assuming you know some stuff, which you might not. That's okay, you'll get there. Alright, so -3 3/4, I go to -3, and then I go more negative, about 3/4 of the way, it would be right there on the number line. So you're going to be drawing some number lines this week for your homework. I want you to use a ruler, I want them to look pretty, I want them to look neat. The ends need to be arrows because the number line continues toward the infinities. Don't leave your arrows off. Alright. Alright, so we were taking a look at example 1 in your book on page 22, and they are putting temperatures on the number line, And I just want you to take a look at that one. I want you to read over it, make sure it makes sense, but I don't want to bother writing it. It's a lot there. Let's look instead at our next concept, because I showed you different numbers on the number line. What I want to talk to you instead is another thing that you might not know, and I don't want you to panic, and it is the idea of absolute value, okay? So the absolute value is the symbol, is a couple of bars, and you put a number in it, and I'll explain to you what it does to it, okay? So have you seen the movie Sky High? It's on the Disney Plus channel right now. It's about teenagers that have superpowers. And it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I can just watch it over and over again and enjoy it every time. It's got great 80s music. It's got superpowers. I just love it. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, we've got a guy who's the hero. His name's Will Stronghold. And it's Stronghold? Will Strongman. What's his last name? Will Strong? Will Strong, we'll call him that. And he's the hero, and he has super strength. And he gets in a fight with his rival fellow, the bad guy at this point. Not to give anything away, his name is War and Peace, and he's got flame power. Okay, so they get in a big fight in the cafeteria. It's very exciting. Well, then the principal goes and puts him in detention. And she's covets away. And she was Wonder Woman when I was a girl in the 70s. All right, so in the detention room, it doesn't matter if you're a hero, like Will Stronghold, I think that's his name, or a villain like War and Peace, the detention room nullifies your powers. So that's what these bars do. These are the absolute value bars, and they nullify any negative symbols on there. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. And the absolute value of -3 is 3. It takes all powers away. Instead, it's just the number. Okay? So that's called the absolute value. Now, in reality, in math, it has nothing to do with superpowers. What it has to do with is the number line. Back to our friend, the number line. Whoop, whoop. More fun with sound effects. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, -2, -3, -4. All right. So here's our hero, Will Stronghold, at 3. And here's our villain, War and Peace, at -3. And the absolute value bars, what they really are in math, is how many frog hops it takes to get back to 0, which is called the origin. It is neither positive or negative, sort of like the principal comments away. She says she's just there to help them use their powers. She doesn't get into the superhero, supervillain thing. All right, so for Will Stronghold at -3, it's 1, 2, 3 frog hops. Look, we can put little eyes on our dot so it looks more like a frog. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So from here to here, how many frog hops? 3. And for our 3 over here, 1, 2, 3. Both of them are 3 hops because distances are not negative. It's the same distance from my house to the library, 2 miles, as the library to my house, 2 miles. I don't say it's -2 miles from the library to my house. Distances are always positive, and that's the real math thing, but I think it's much more fun to think about Sky High. And just saying those words, I'm starting to get that song stuck in my head. We're through being cool. Okay, anyway, calm down. Stay on task. All right, next idea. Okay, absolute value. Okay, so the absolute value of 5 is 5, and the absolute value of -7 is 7. You take away any negatives on them. Okay, look now at the next little highlight thing on page 23. It's the idea of opposites. Now, this is a super important idea. Remember, I told you I would tell you when things are important or not. This is super important. Put little flashing lights around it in your brain. You need to know the opposite of a math thing. So, I think you will understand this. If I had +2, what do you think the opposite would be? That's right, -2. If I had times 3, what do you think the opposite is? That's right, divided by 3. So the opposite of multiply is divide. The opposite of plus is minus. And you're going to have to know what the opposite math thing is to be able to solve for x, which is what we're going to be doing. There's a few other ones I'm going to tell you, but, or maybe just one other one that I'll tell you that you might not understand yet. I'm just going to show it to you. If you don't understand, don't worry about it. But if you do understand, maybe it'll make sense. The opposite of squared is square root. How you can kind of know this is on your calculator. The second of this button is that button. Now, if you don't understand what that means, it's okay. I just wanted to throw it out there for those of you who do. We're going to talk way more about that later. So you need to know what the opposite of a mathematical operation is. The opposite of plus is minus. The opposite of multiply is divide, and vice versa. And squared is square root. All right, let's see. We did our opposites. Okay, here's a problem. Evaluate the expression when y equals 5. Turning your book to page 24. So write down your knowns and unknowns. Y equals -5 over here. Write the problem over here. And we're going to fill it in. We're going to substitute and put in -5 for y. Now, you don't write it like this, minus, minus. If you have two minuses in a row, you put a parentheses around it to break it up. Now, I haven't taught you this yet, but you might know it already, that if you're multiplying and you have two negatives, weirdly, it makes a positive. So, two negatives, this is actually going to be positive 5, which is 5. Now, this works in English too, that two negatives make a positive. If I say, I don't have no bananas, that means I actually have bananas, because I don't have no bananas, so therefore I must have some bananas. Two negatives, don't and no, make a positive. I've got bananas. Now for some of you that doesn't make sense either, especially those of us who have lived our whole life in the South and we're used to I ain't got no bananas, meaning that you don't have any bananas, not that you do have bananas. So as Southerners, we're a little bit at a disadvantage here, but we will power through and just remember that two negatives make a positive. All right, let's see our next one. This one is 17 minus the absolute value of y. So here's our new thing that we're going to substitute in. 17 minus the absolute value of y. There, put my little bars over there. Yep. So I should sing substitute and put it in. 17 minus and the absolute value of y. Well, I'll write it in first. I'm jumping ahead. I shouldn't do that. I always would get irritated at teachers when I was in school when they would skip steps. Show me all the steps. So I'm going to show you all the steps. All right. So what is that? These bars are kind of like parentheses, and we do it first. So what is the absolute value of 5? Remember, detention room is going to take off War and Peace's powers. He's going to lose the negative. So it's 17 minus positive 5. 17 minus 5 is 12. Doo-doo. All right, that's it. Math is fun. See you later.